I'm Seema Rampasad from the Business and IP Centre, London. This is my session on behalf of my colleagues and the BIPC network called A Guide to Sustainable Business with the British Library. Obviously, we have a partnership of networks across the Business and IP Centre across the UK with 19 business and IP centres, which might be in one city or town near you. So do have a look out for them. And I'm actually going to talk about the context that we've been hearing a lot about today in terms of sustainability in what it means, and also how to make your business sustainable, because the two come hand in hand, really. And also about your values model and the missions that you might have, and how that affects your consumers and the consumptions that the figures that we actually use for the planet. Obviously, it's actually there is a natural resource, but we have to make sure we actually change our behaviors. And I'll show you some evidence of that from the market research and databases that we have in the centers or the network. And I'll also point you to how you can actually interact with us as the Business and IP Centre, and some of the things that we might have to help you support your business. So the session is going to last about 30 minutes, and I will take questions at the end. I've got Alex and Harry in the chat, and hopefully you'll have some questions for me. If not, there's lots that we can offer you at the network. So I'll try and cover some of the ways that we can support you with your business. So I'm Seema. I've been a business librarian and an information professional for about 30 years. A lot of my colleagues also have a similar background. We have expertise in intellectual property or business or general information or research, or expertise in actually project work. So it's not just me, there's several of us in the Business and IP Centre in London. We also have the business audience and teams who are putting on this event today. And we have a whole network of information professionals across the UK. So the slides are too big, obviously, and you would probably get them if you want them from one of our organizers today. But if you would like to get a copy of the slides, or if you would like to email me with anything specific, I can't actually see the chat today, but the questions will come through at the end. So I'm happy to follow up any questions by email. And hopefully we'll see you one day back in the Business and IP Centre at the British Library. This is our networking area, which is right in the middle of the London, in the hub of the city, and it's easy to get to. So as I said, we're part of the network. Some of the resources that I'm going to mention might be in the local BIPC that's closest to you, but if not, you might need to come to London, because as for those of you who've attended the session with my colleague Jeremy this morning, you would know that we have quite a lot of resources that sometimes not to your local libraries will be able to have. The BIPC network, it kind of makes them unique. We kind of have the same business and IP resources that you might need, or the expertise that you may need. But do try your local library. Some of them might have the resources that we have as well. So starting off, I've actually been listening to a lot of the sessions today, and there's a lot to be said about sustainability. But in terms of getting you into the themes that I wanted to cover, and also to make sure that we're not actually off in a tangent, I wanted to pinpoint what exactly is sustainability in business. And Harvard Business Review is one of the core resources for business management and business theory and also practice. And they said that sustainability in business means, in business, sustainability refers to doing business without negatively impacting the environment, community, or society as a whole. Sustainability in business generally addresses two main categories: the effect business has on the environment and the effect business has on society. So people might think this is all new, but it has been going on for a while. I work for a large accountancy firm, and I was looking at terms such as corporate social responsibility, and also actually giving back to local communities, and also thinking about the environment. Do you remember about 15-20 years ago, we started printing less and having those champions and all those sort of green champions in the office for big business. So for big business and also for small business and startups like yourself, there is a new way of actually looking at the world. So that has been highlighted this week by COP26. So in terms of the themes and the actually words that you might be hearing in the news, obviously people are thinking about sustainability in the core heart of what's going on at the moment, but also I wanted to focus our attentions on how we can help. So things like research, making you think about your concept, your business concept, recycling, funding that you might be able to get for things, or investment that you might be thinking about going to new sustainable areas. Also our consumption figures, but also how do consumers actually relate to that. And these are some of just the keywords that I have actually come about. But if you were to look on an internet search, you could come up with other examples of sustainability and the key things that people are looking at. And this is just actually to get you in the zone that I'm actually going to talk to you about, because we really have to make this a really important issue, a values issue, a mission issue in our business. The earth is fragile. It's not unlimited resources. The impact of climate change is happening. If there is evidence of that, I work at the British Library, and you can actually research this topic all the time. And I come from an island. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and island communities are actually affected by flooding, and we're seeing climate change happening in smaller islands. And if things like that happen, there wouldn't be these islands anymore. And so there's a lot of island communities who are actually fighting for a more sustainable planet, and it affects us as well. I live in London. Obviously, there's a move towards less cars, and obviously the ultra emission zone. So these things are impacting our daily lives, and there are people who actually are doing some things about it. And even if you're not interested in the topic, it will affect you one day or the other. So in positioning your business as a startup, for those of you who've attended our Startup in London Libraries workshops, they're still happening. We're going to run them until December. You might have seen us discuss the business model canvas. And the business model canvas was actually prepared by a gentleman called Alex Osterwalder. He's a Swiss management consultant. And initially, he launched the business model canvas with the 9 pillars, the 9 blocks that you can look at. And but people have actually adopted it and changed it to suit their own needs. And one of the reasons why I specifically wanted to talk about sustainability business is actually saying that there are other models that who can actually use this. I actually haven't spoken about the ecological benefits in great detail and the social cost in the past, but these things actually inform your business in general. So if you're thinking about a sustainable business, it's best to look at these issues. Obviously, the value proposition is at the heart of your business. I've actually listened to some sessions this morning. So there's a like Bareface Food. She actually wanted to do something with in Scotland. I think she's based in Glasgow, where she wanted to supply the community in the pandemic with locally produced goods, especially in a crisis like that. So she's thinking about her values. She's thinking about the way she wants to engage with her community. And she put that right in the middle of her business model. So the value proposition there, she's obviously looking to supply a vegan menu to local people in the community. And that's the niche that she was serving. And that's the value she's offering her customers. And of course, her customers, some of them will actually, that will resonate with them. They will actually want to buy her product. So if you actually try to build your business using the business model canvas and think of it more sustainability in a sustainable way, you can actually try to picture it out and try to actually get it going by using the business model canvas. Obviously looking at your customer segmentation, who they are, who you're going to target, how you're going to find them, what channels you're going to use. Being in Glasgow, she would have used a local sort of transport to deliver things, hopefully ecological. I live in London, and you see lots of bicycles on Uber Eats and all that sort of thing. It didn't happen like that 5 years ago, so things are changing, where people are not using taxis and cabs just to get things locally. And also that customer relationship, it's sustainable, it's long-term. She's actually thinking about having the retention of her customers, and it's actually local, so likelihood of them coming back to her for that product is great. So in terms of her own business being sustainable in the long run, but also the sustainability issues, she's catching both of those things. Obviously, you know, barefaced food, I thought that was a great way of having a trademark, and that actually resonates with her. Q Resources, that's an asset to her. You know, people can recognize it means something to her. And I think there was a question in that panel this morning where she was saying that, you know, she actually chose that word to reflect that. And a few of the people today as well also mentioned that. And then the key activities when you're starting your business is actually building the brand, promoting the business, you know, engaging with your customers, and doing all the nitty-gritty that goes on behind the scene. And in terms of key partners, you might be thinking about a more sustainable partners. There's one panelist this morning said in the BIPC Liverpool panelist, she said that she didn't actually want to do business with some people if they didn't believe in her values. So like she's saying to them, you know, this is what I do. Obviously, and the council got in touch with her and said, you know, do you need recycling? And she said, no, I don't need any recycling because I'm going to use my recycling. So in terms of having those partners that you need with you, you locate them and find them. We can help you with that sort of thing in searching company data in the British Library. But this is all part of your model. So the things that you value, the things that you want to do, the things that you're targeting, if you start to build a picture of that against your cost structure and your revenue, it's a way of actually getting the business going. Obviously, sometimes when it's ethical and it's sustainable, it actually is, it costs more, or it's more valuable because it's not doing it cheap and fast like some things. So you need to find that balance between your overheads and whether you're making a profit margin. And one of the panelists mentioned that, you know, sometimes the passion overrides the actual cost of actually making a profit. But there are ways that you can actually strategically work to get a profit for your business that you value. But in terms of the social benefits and the social costs, you need to obviously look at whether there are social benefits that your business model is generating. Is there who is benefiting from your business, from your profit? So is some of that going back to communities? Is some of that going back into investment, into new innovations? And that also informs your value proposition. And are there social costs? Are you using renewables? Are you going across the earth to extract natural resources and bringing it back here without thinking of it ethically and sustainability? So those are the type of things you need to think about. Look at your social costs, look at it if it's ecologically friendly, and also the socio economic benefits. I actually wore a dress this week, and I had it for a while. I bought it last year, and it was actually from Monsoon Sew range. And I looked at the label, and it actually said it was actually ethically manufactured. And I actually read the story of the gentleman actually when he started the business in Monsoon, 1973. It's because of his travels where he found really great textiles in Asia and so on. So a successful company that is on the high street, actually using these principles that in 1973 was great. And this is a tool for you. You can easily find this on the internet and attend one of our workshops or webinars, and we can elaborate a bit more or help you go through it. We also do business clinics, and we can also cover these things with you briefly, and then you can go away and work on them. And the source for this specifically ethically based business model canvas is listed below. Apart from actually doing your business model and also your values, you probably need to also think about the framework. And, you know, we've heard about COP26, which obviously has been going for 26 years to obviously mitigate against climate change. And it's getting more and more urgent. It's getting more and more important. And the UN actually came up with their Sustainable Development Goals in 2015 to actually focus our minds and attention. And it's actually for us to do it collectively, because you know, it's not something that can be done little by one person. We all have to actually work against these goals. And being a librarian and information professional, we actually have libraries across the world who are actually working to these themes that and goals that would help our communities as well. But the goals were results of a process that that have been more inclusive than ever. Governments involved, became involved. Civil society, citizens were engaged in the offset. It was an agreement where the world needs to go. And they're hoping to actually fulfill the ambitions that takes unprecedented efforts by all the sectors in society. And business has to play a part, an important role in this process. No matter how large or small, and regardless of the industry, all companies can contribute to sustainable development goals. Whether the scale and scope of the global goals is unprecedented, the fundamental ways that business can contribute remains. So this is a framework you might see as well. I actually got a leaflet recently from the NHS, and the back of the leaflet actually had one of the sustainable goals that deals with health. So you're going to see more of these, more good health and well-being, which is number 3. So you're going to see more of these things that might reflect to you. So if you're not sure how to use your business model canvas, or what things you might be focused on, or which one relates to you, using this, the Sustainable Development Goals, of 1 or 2 or 3 that might relate to you will be really useful. Some of the things might be, you know, if you, whether you want climate, to focus on climate action, gender equality, or even good pay conditions, or actually helping inequalities for your local community or your sector. So it is important. The UN has this page and lots of resources online to help you get started to work along these frameworks. It's not really that too. I mean, you have to be on another planet to not actually hear what's going on this week or in the last few months. Obviously, the pandemic has changed things, but there is an element of urgency to help us actually resolve these issues. And it's make good financial sense as well. So in the magazine of corporate responsibility, it says that business ethics should actually value sustainable companies significantly outperform financially, because they actually are doing all the right things and people want to work for them, and consumers actually want to engage with them. And there's a quick poll on this this journal magazine website that says, which of the following most important current corporate responsibility issues is valuable to their audience? And it actually said environmental issues. Obviously, there are other things we always have to work on, but actually being able to focus on the attention on what people really want to do going ahead. It's not just something to just talk about. It's something that we actually have to work, and it has to be actionable. So and our consumers and our customers actually value that now. One of the companies that engage with the Business and IP Center, called FUUE, F-R-U-U-E, they actually use it as a marketable tool. So on their website, they said they are affordable and they're sustainable too. We have a view of, if you can't afford to buy it, it's not sustainable. We strive to use the most responsibly sourced ingredient possible and offer guilt-free sustainable living at a most affordable cost possible. So you're going to see more of this. People are going to use their environmental credential, their sustainability credential, and their ethically based business values on their website as a selling point. And there's obviously accreditation that you can actually join and become and be actually certified in those areas as a business. I actually saw in our field in information, I actually saw that my colleagues runs my volunteering colleague runs a recruitment business, and he's actually, the first time I heard of this Sustainable Development Goals, actually in freighting job profiles, where they're actually looking for people who can actually focus on these goals for companies and actually make sure companies adopt them. So, when you're starting up, it's just a great way to do it from the very beginning, right? Then having to do it afterwards when you realize you could have done it from the very beginning. And again, it's not just a good business model for actually having sustainable practices and sustainability built into your business. It's actually trends. So for those of you who've been to the Business and IP Center in London, Global Data Online is an online database that we have in the center. I don't know if all of the network has access to it, but obviously we in London have access to it. And they have a great facility called Global Data Trend Site Framework. When you look at their sustainability and ethics framework, and if you follow that through, it's really interesting. So you look at social responsibility, ethical well-being, where it connects with well-being issues, fairly traded, obviously linking that up with people's comfort and cautions. They might not like ethical practices. It might actually come back to hurt them if they're unethical. So, and obviously it moves on to cruelty-free, local ethical luxury. Yes, you can have ethical, but you might need to pay a bit more. So there's that, when I showed you the business model canvas, yes, people might be willing to pay more, just as Fruh, which are the company I showed in the slide before, where they have these values and they know that you might need to pay more in terms of what they're offering. But it's also there's localism, so that really fits into your local communities, thinking about the environment, sources locally. Why should you go to the other side of the world when you can do it locally? And look at those things and how you can help not just yourself and your business, but the people around you. The pandemic has been a great way of actually us, people doing that in a big way and helping and supporting local businesses. The other thing is about being trusting and transparent, telling people what is it you're doing and making them engage in what practices you're doing, where you're getting your things from, because they might start asking you as well. So that's a great way of actually marketing your sustainability values and mission. And then there are scarce resources in the world, so you need to think about what's scarce and what you can actually reuse, or the things that you can get in bulk and you can actually make it to good. So these are just some trends that you can walk through your business model and see what relates to you. And in the end, obviously environmental responsibility lies not just in your business but in all of us. So in a snapshot, look at these things and see how you can adopt them into your business model. As I said, it's things that, the customers and consumers are looking for. And if you don't do it now, somewhere along the line, you might lose out actually to your competitors, because they might be doing it better than you are. And there are changes in consumer behavior. There's a new generation of people who are actually demanding more. They want to do more. I'm really impressed that some of our speakers today actually, already of this generation are demanding more. To the gentleman who actually had the farm, plant farm using recyclable plastic, they obviously thinking like, some of the people I've come across in my life, where they actually want more a sustainable world. But in terms of general behavior, you might listen to the Mintel session this morning. I know some of you might not have, but they actually have great reports, and the gentleman who's in charge of their market research, he gave a lot of insight. The Mintel Sustainability Index barometer report is great for actually getting that insight. Also the databases, some of the Business and IP Center network might have them. So some of the things they're telling you is, in terms of like how are sustainable consumers looking at themselves, what are they identify with? And in terms of the general population, you have like 73% say that it's important to be part of a community. 70% say experiences are more important than material possessions. I have a budget that I try to stick to as much as possible. But if you're if the consumer is more sustainability minded and actually demanding more, they actually expect more. So they want to be more part of their community. They want to have more experiences rather than material possessions. And they also want to budget, they have a budget that they will stick with, and they're willing to probably fluctuate with that to get the sort of more ethically based or sustainably based product they're looking for. So consumer behaviors are changing, and you really have to adapt and evolve with the change in market, because then you might be left like a dinosaur. So look at how your consumers are actually what their opinions are, what are their lifestyle behaviors, and how are they consuming things. And sometimes that's hard to do when you're starting off a business. So the market research companies are great for giving us the evidence that we need to do that. And those differences in behaviors and patterns and lifestyle choices are actually infiltrating manufacturing and innovations and things that we're seeing by people who are actually creating their own products, but also the high street. So Urban Cordial is one of the companies that's engaged with the Business and IP Center, and they're actually proud to say that they buy British fruit. They're low in sugar in terms of the well-being issues and goals that we might have. They're made from surplus fruit, so they're not going to waste, and it's nothing artificial about it. So those are selling points that they actually have on their website, and they're actually happy to actually pitch those to their customers. There's another company from a while ago who actually was in the Innovating for Growth program called Rubies in the Rubble. I think they used to use wonky looking fruit and vegetables to make them into, like, fruit, other fruit and drink products. So people who are doing this a while ago probably already sustainable in some way, and have infiltrated those markets. So as I said, it's a slow burn, but it's getting more important, more urgent. And I was really proud to see that Marks and Spencer sent me an email to say that, let's swap. Obviously, we haven't been in the shops very frequently in the pandemic, but they actually sent an email to say, don't forget to do their swap. You can donate pre-loved goods into their boxes, and actually they'll reward you with some points in their reward card. And they're saying that they have collected over 3 million items across and contributing to estimate 23 million to Oxfam's vital work across the globe. And now, as a Spark customer, you'll be rewarded for that. So these are just general innovations and incentives in the way that people work, and also the business is set up, and the way that they've been founded to deal with sustainability issues. And we've all heard about packaging. Packaging is a great example of innovations that's happened in the last maybe 10 years or so. Obviously, we heard about paper and print maybe 15, 20 years ago, and we reduced the number of paper that we print, and we think before we print. But plastic pollution is definitely one of the things we've actually changed our behaviors. Single-use plastic has been made into law. Obviously, supermarkets and shops and retailers actually have an obligation to not actually offer systematically single-use plastic. And we're seeing that also in a lot of packaging now. There's actually business models that are used that reuse and recycle motto. I have a local organic shop around the corner from me that sells vegetables and fruit products, and they actually have the refill bars like the one in the photograph here, where you can actually take your own packaging and you can actually reuse them. And these have actually have been rolled out across the UK. I know it is a popular model where people are actually reusing and not using reusing and buying products in reusable sort of like ways, rather than having lots of packaging. And I know that obviously people have used cups and cups to drink tea and coffee and all that sort of thing. They have their own cups. We've gone back to now to using our reusable cups. But yeah, instead of plastic, obviously this is a good idea in terms of actually having a perfectly obviously cardboard box for water. And it's the growth and refill and reuse is really good in terms of refilling station as well. So think about your packaging, think about the things that you do. I had an event recently with our community engagement team and with an ethical fashion designer, and she actually sourced packaging for some of the things she's created. And she made sure that the packaging was actually from recyclable materials. And I wouldn't have been able to tell, actually, it was from already recyclable materials for her Christmas decoration that she used from stock, fabric stock that was going to landfill. So those are just some of the ways that, little things that we can do in terms of recycling. The same fashion designer that I mentioned, she's called EJ, her company is called Ibune. She's actually using stock that's going to landfill. And instead of it going, it's called dead stock. So instead of dead stock going to landfill, she's actually repurposing it and creating dresses, obviously tailor-made for her customers here in London. Ethical fashion is something that, it's not new. I actually spoke about ethical fashion about 10 years ago. And, things like upcycling, reusing, instead of going to landfill or giving it to a charity shop where someone else uses it. These are some of the things that we could do in our daily lives to actually support sustainable fashion. I've actually met with clients at the Business and IP Centre who've actually found really organic, unique dyes, and she found them in India, and she wanted to support this local community. She couldn't even communicate with that new local community. She had to get a person who can actually communicate with them, and she's imported those dyes in a sustainable way, and she's selling her products here in London and probably across the UK as well. She wanted to roll out, but she was specifically looking for boutiques and fashion conscious organization that actually she wanted to partner with to sell those products. So thinking of it more of a more thoughtful way, a more sustainable way of actually doing business. And those are just two examples I've engaged with at the Business and IP Center. But we need to think about fast fashion, whether we want to do it. We need to think about the next generation manufacturing practices, whether you want something to be created in a sweatshop, or whether you want to actually have employees who are getting all the benefits that they need. There was one speaker this morning, she actually says she wants to employ them long term. She doesn't want the gig economy, because she wants that person to benefit from a sustainable lifestyle. So we need to think more holistically about our fashion choices, and how that impacts on society. So those are just some of the themes, general themes that that actually happens when you're business modeling, when you're adopting values for your business, and the ways that you can probably get information and evidence and support from the Business and IP Center. So I'm going to come on now to talk about how we can support you a bit more in detail. It is a global crisis, so we can offer like help in the business startup programs that we have. And one of the successful programs that we had was and successful entrepreneur is actually called Cycle Hoop. The gentleman is called Anthony Lau. So at the very beginning of the Business and IP Center, he came into the center to research cycling. He actually obviously needed help because he was creating all these models and different manufacturing bike hangers, bike locks, and cycle hubs. His business has grown since I've been there. And where I live in Waltham Forest, you can actually see his bicycle hangers all over the borough. So he used the center obviously to create his product, to build his brand, to find out the intellectual property, and to find partners that he was looking for. And obviously it builds into the bigger models of share more, consume less, in terms of carbon footprint, and to cycle more. And he's hitting all of those targets. So obviously using the Business IP Center, there are lots of things you can actually do with us to help you with your sustainable business. You're here today in the startup day, and if you're not here live with us, you're catching up with us on our recording. We do have free access to lots of databases. There's like £5 million worth of databases over the years that you can't access freely on the internet. That's our unique selling point. We, information professionals and access to information and libraries, we have resources that are not freely available on the internet. And we're here to help you with your starting your business, but also growing your business. We give you free access to our business collection and resources. And that's across the Business and IP Center network. So we have practical information, we have market research, we have company information to help you do your business-to-business model, a bit like what Anthony Lau from Cycle Hoop needed to do when he started his business. And you can tap into all of the local Business and IP Center networks to see what they have. Obviously, us at the British Library, we have a lot more resources because we're a national library, and we have other things like the scientific databases and all the social databases and the inspirational stuff in terms of your trademark and the historical and cultural collections. So do check with us, and if you want to get links to all of the network, I can send you that in the email. We have access to events like this. We also have like events that help you with your business modeling, with your financing, if you're looking for investment on the topic, and finding your marketing niche and pitching, all the things that you need to help you with your business. So do check with us. We have clinics as well. My colleague Jeremy and others will do intellectual property clinics for information, and across the network we're offering clinics, and my colleagues as well in London, we do business information clinics. Obviously you have to check and see when we're available, and they're available to be booked on our website. We do have the partners who run expert events. and they have expertise in various areas, from business model to marketing to finance to building your website. And if you're not sure which areas you need, do get in touch and we'll tell you which one of our partners are most appropriate for you. But we do have networking opportunities, coffee mornings, inspiring entrepreneurs, which is a bit like this, but it's mainly in the evenings. Inventors Club, that happens on Monday or every month in the evening. And we have Precious Nights, which is geared towards people of Black and ethnic minority groups, run by Feluke, and it's brilliant, very, very great for networking as well. And we have our Innovating for Growth Club here in London. We do have lots of projects, so do see how we can support you, be it a startup in London Library or Innovating for Growth. If you already already started and growing, or Innovating for Growth you might fit into the program that for Innovating for Growth to help you to grow your company. And we do business mentoring as well, and we do have arrangements or local business support. So do get in touch if you can't find what you're looking for. So in terms of practical information, we have Cobra, which is great for practical information. It gives you top level information on green energy. This is across the network. Most of the Business and IP Center has access to the Cobra databases. So it tells you like 166 million funding for green technology and 6,000 UK jobs, and it might tell you who to contact and what you need to do. Obviously, it has things like, ethical fashion and things that are relevant to the field that you're going into. For the industry trends, it tells you like buy now, pay later. Popular. Also looking at fashion tech and also having a fashion responsible business. For those of you who've missed the Mintel talk this morning, Mintel is a great database. They're actually one of the most popular ones because it's so easy to read, easy to follow. They have sections that are relevant for your business planning. It has things like market size, market drivers, market trends, but then it has the consumers, consumer attitudes, and the things that will be relevant for you. So this graph is actually showing solar panels, and the time has come where solar panels have actually, I think there was government funding for solar panel, and that's sort of finished now, but there's actually still a growing trend, and UK businesses are starting to show increased interest in solar PV systems as commercial and industrial companies look to decarbonize their operation. Solar PV offers an attractive route to zero carbon electricity. So that's written in the reports. It's saying that it's a growing market, and it's also a residential market, if you actually want to actually do solar panels. So these are some of the things that the market research would tell you, and how your customers are behaving and how are they engaging with the things that you might be thinking of. Another form of market research is like, we've talked about plastic pollution and how it affects the earth. We have the new database. I think this might only be relevant for the Business and IP Center in London. We have access to Statistica now. It's a great resource for finding statistical information. Here is telling you that single-use plastic, there's still a lot of waste happening, especially in relation to population figures. So Australia is quite high, United States is quite high. United Kingdom, we still have to do a lot in terms of single-use plastic. And Statistica actually offers some free content. So if you can't get to the Business and IP Center London, you can actually search their website to see what content is available free of charge. We also have EIU, which is great. They have the EIU Viewpoint, which is a great database for looking at geopolitics and economic analysis. How do we compare with other countries? What countries are doing great things and what aren't? Or how can we look at what the UK is doing? And this is not actually, the slides that I've shown you are actually from one of their webinars. So if you can't get to us in London to get access to the EIU Viewpoint, which is great for country, excuse me, and industry trends, they actually do webinars that you can attend free of charge. And obviously here is telling us global sustainable investment is on the rise, and the money is flowing into particular regions for that reason, to offset carbon footprint. And not just countries are doing it, but also companies are doing it. So big business are actually doing great things as well in terms of looking at our sustainability for the environment. We also, as I said, offer company data. So this was a search I did for looking at thinking of my client who was ethical fashion. So I was looking at clothing suppliers who are manufacturing, who are wholesaling, and I was looking at it across the world rather than just the UK. So here it told me 29 companies came up with those things in their description. If I wanted to obviously find buyers or partners and so on in the UK or across the globe, I can look at our company databases to see whether I can actually get in touch with them. So whatever your business is, if you're looking for business to business partners, or if you're looking to find a manufacturer or suppliers, we have things like Compass and other resources. And obviously, businesses actually want to do businesses with other companies that are sustainable. This is a Ocado again, send me an email about the things that they were selling. And obviously it actually highlighted some of their favorite sustainable suppliers. So it has here Jude ice cream, Garçon wine, and Dale Lisford. I think they do fruit, I'm not sure. But they actually are sustainable partners that they want to partner with. And obviously, Ocado is a great company, and it actually has a section to eco shop. So those are some of the things you can actually do with partner information for your business. And obviously, I'm a librarian, and the things that we have in the Business and IP Center are great. So, and across the network as well, we have some of the Business and IP Center network have access to British standards online. So standards are great. So you can look at, in terms of like, what is the excellence in sustainability. You can find out things that are relevant for products and people. And also you can actually get more sustainable growth at looking at what are the standards for particular things. And this company called Stationery Ethical, they actually had some great things that they had on their website. They actually spoke about, what made them sustainable. They've removed 8 tons of CO2 out of the supply chain for one member just through toner cartridge supply. They've reduced member paper uses by over 60%. So these are the type of things that a standard would do, and the type of things you need to work for. Being a library, we do have startup books. So these, in terms of the sustainable development goals, I must give credit to my colleague Lola here. So Lola actually looked at some of those strands, those 17 sustainable goals, and she actually got the top 10 books that related to those goals. So covering things like gender balance in the workplace, diversity and inclusion, in terms of organic products, green marketing, social entrepreneurship, scale ups, looking at social startups, and also social entrepreneurs starting up, scaling up, and staying true to your values and that sort of things. So we have those sort of books in the Business and IP Center, and any good bookshop will probably have access to who can get those books if you're looking for type of things that people are doing generally. And we also have industry guides that would help you to get started. So the resources I've mentioned, we have about 30 databases, business databases, just in the Business and IP Center London. And we have industry guides to help you get started. So do look at them and see how they can support you with your research. And we do have success stories. So people who've used us. So Lukoko, she actually had a sustainable business as well, using looking at chocolate and trying to make the business chocolate industry more sustainable. And the BIPC Need had North Sky, who actually looked for sustainable ways of actually creating their business and making sure that their glamping business actually had sustainable materials in the things that they were offering their customers. And I live in London. I live in Waltham Forest, and Cycle Hoop, I could see it daily. So the impact of the business is quite interconnected. It's also quite organic, and there's an ecosystem that's happening. So Cycle Hoop, who use the Business and IP Center, I see their products in my neighborhood as well. And for your sustainable business, there's lots of frameworks to use, lots of insight that you can get. There's lots of inspiration and motivation you can get from other people's stories, using the collections and the research that we have and the evidence that we have. So dream big, and hopefully your story and your business will be as sustainable too. We also have launched a leaflet, and this is just a quick leaflet to say that it's available online as well. And it's just a general principle that I've covered today: to plan your business, have a purpose, think about the partners you want to do your business, promise what you might be able to deliver, or pledge, as some of the terms that have been used in the news this week. And think about people as well. How does it impact on your people, yourself, and the people around you? Remember to be optimistic. It is climate change, but be optimistic, buy less, choose well, make it last. And the Business and IP Center is here to help you across the network. If you want to email me, please email me if you have any further questions. I'm happy to take any questions now, so I'll just quickly check my email. And remember, you can have a British Library Pass to come and use the resources, and the BIPC network will be able to help you across the UK. I'll just check my emails just to check if there's any questions. So Harry and Alex, if you can tell me if there's any questions. So no questions for now. And I think I've come to my time. So I'm happy for the session to end. Obviously, I just put it back to my slide. If you want to get access to the reading room or the British Library, you need a reader's pass, and you can check our industry guides to see what things we have and look at the Business and IP Centre network on how a local business and IP centre can help you. Thank you.